Welcome.
But there is
Okay. Wow. This unconditional wow is wowing infinitely without a me. No one is wowing. It's just wowing. Life is free falling by itself, without a net, without a purpose, devoid of any reasons, endlessly, infinitely, towards a bottomless pit where there is no hope. So, in hopelessness, unconditional freedom is exposed. The exposure of this seemingly simple expression of what is already appearing as everything seemingly seems to be hidden because what's being sought for is hiding, apparently hiding, by actually appearing as everything. In this fullness, in this wholeness, nothing is lacking, nothing is missing, nothing is hidden. It's completely exposed. So, what are we doing here? Really, nothing. Nothing's being exposed because it's already fully exposed. There's no exposure of something that is quite obvious. What is obvious is that there's never been anyone here. If there's no one here, there's also no one there. There's never been anyone in the past, no one in the future, so no one disappears and no one appears. There's this seeming perception that there is a separation that's appearing as you or me and others, or we, but when it's seen in its fullness, it's just really nothing appearing as everything. Nothing appearing as everything seems like a great paradox. It is a great paradox because it appears simultaneously. There's no two, there's no two. There's no one, but there's also no two. So what's being expressed here cannot be counted, cannot be, it's not a subject or an object, and it can't be figured out. So the attempt to speak about this is almost like muddying the water of something that's already completely clear. You can say that this is pure and innocent. So the knower wants to know what is happening. There's nothing happening. What seems to be happening is an appearance of duality, an appearance of separation. And it's not really that complicated. It's actually quite simple that it seems like um, it can be understood, that it can be figured out. It's kind of like they want to figure out what's happening here when it keeps on being expressed. There's nothing here. There's never been anyone here. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing missing. There's nothing to figure out. So it's a futile search because what seems to be hidden is already exposed. So what's being expressed here is the exposure that what you're looking for is this. And when I say this, it means this and this and this and this. It's like wowing itself infinitely. See, life unfolds by itself and it doesn't need a me. There's never been a me. There's never been anyone. And it's really quite simple. And again, me speaking about this is like muddying the water. And the reason that we're doing this actually is I just really wanted to have a breakout room with some eggnogs later with all of you. But if you have any questions, we'll go for a Q&A. If you have any questions, any comments, please raise your hand. You can also type a question and I'll read it. There's a question here already. How did Emerson reaction to the encountering of this communication? It doesn't really matter how encountered it because no one really encountered it. So anything that is talked in the past is just a story. When I mentioned earlier that everything that's appearing is just this and there's nothing outside of this, but for the sake of the story, I'll say it anyway. When I first encountered this communication, it was quite scary, but it was also like a cold waters poured all over my head. It was like, oh wow, this is clarity. But it was also scary because there's this held on to belief system that I thought that I that was me. So my belief system and me were the same. They were both illusory. When it's seen that the belief and the believer is unreal, then there's this kind of like, oh wow. Question here. What do you think about meditation? Well, you know what? The character was a meditation teacher for quite a while, for about 10 years. There's nothing wrong or right about it. I think it's cool, but it's trying to meditate this. It's trying to escape this that can't already be escaped. So it's just so it's kind of like I'm not really saying not necessary, but it's just the same as drinking coffee, walking down the street, drinking a beer at the pub, sitting down in a chair, singing a song, whatever. It's the same thing. There's nothing wrong or right about it. Question here. How do you get rid of the me? Well, you can't really get rid of something that you can't really get rid of something that's already not there. It's never been there. There's never been a me. So there's this idea, there's this perception that if I can only get rid of the me, then I can be liberated, that I can find freedom, that I'll feel better, that I'll solve all my problems, all my taxes will be paid, all that kind of stuff. But there's never been a me that needs to be getting rid of because it never existed. There's never been anyone here, and and it's quite obvious. And I know it's me saying that it's quite obvious is there's going to be a lot of kind of like, well, it doesn't seem obvious here that there's never been anyone here. But where's the me really? There's never been a me. It's just really clear that way. It's just really obvious. This is going to be a story. Everything is going to be a story here. Um, just like you, everything is a story. So there's a story of the seeker that seemingly is looking for an attainment, looking for something different, looking for something that will elevate or enhance the seeker. Um, Usually, the seeker goes to a spiritual circus. Circus actually is the root word of circus is circle. Circle. So it goes into a really kind of like a never ending loop of seeking, a never ending loop of knowing, a never ending loop of a circle that keeps on going around and around and around, kind of like a merry-go-round. Um, One seeks for a teacher, a speaker, a seeker, but really there's no difference. There's really no difference. It's all entertainment. Lots of clowns. And it's all right. There's nothing wrong or right about that. But in this circus, there seems to be a knower that knows more, an authority that has more authority. There seems to be a source, a lineage, a a seeming understanding. And in this circle, it goes in a loop over and over again. It pleases the seeker. It pleases the one that is apparently seeking, although there's no seeker and there's no teacher or speaker. It goes into this circular loop over and over again, seemingly trying to find something that is appearing as everything. So it entertains ideas about, maybe we should do this, we should do that. Maybe there is a way out of this. It entertains the idea, maybe if I know more, maybe if I attend another um, retreat, or if I attend another one of those transmission, maybe this, not this lifetime, maybe next. Maybe if I improve my practice, maybe if I have a better karma, maybe if I have, maybe if I live my dharma. All of that seemingly is a circular movement of not really going anywhere. In the story of this character named Emerson, it went into that circle for quite a while. So it became a seeker, although no one becomes anything, seeking for a liberation. So there was this apparent history, there's no history, of an apparent seeker for something that is better than this. There's got to be something better than this. There's got to be something more. There's got to be some liberation. There's going to be some kind of elation, something different than this. So, in that apparent story, it kept on going into the book of knowing, looking for chapter 2. Okay, I'm in chapter 2 right now. I'm going to meditate. Nothing wrong or right about that. It's just a story. Or chapter 3, I'm going to try to levitate. Try and all of these different ideas about something that keeps on going around and around and around. And this is might come as a shock to you, but what's apparently, this is just a suggestion. This is just apparently what's being called non-duality right now is almost becoming like an entertainment. There's nothing wrong or right about that. It's become kind of like a circus as well. There is non-duality influencers out there. Nothing wrong or right about that. There is going to be non-dual therapy, integration, non-dual this, non-dual that, non-dual everything. And it's just appearing, and it's a circular loop again. So seemingly thinking that the character got out of religion, landed in a different cell, in a different jail, called spirituality, and then jumped out of spirituality and landed into non-duality. Um, but it's still a circus. Because the moment that the character enters the unknowing, if it tries to know it, if it tries to understand, if it tries to grab it, if it tries to put characters that are speakers into pedestals, then it becomes a circus again. It becomes circular again. It becomes, well, according to this speaker, this is what it means. According to this speaker, according to this new speaker or old speaker, it doesn't really matter because there's no speakers out there. There's really no need because what's really being expressed is quite obvious. Um, there's nothing wrong or right about, non-duality influencers or non-duality speakers, but there's none of them. There's none of them. So what's being expressed, even if it comes from a really clear expression, the moment that it becomes a something, a knowing, an understanding, it's back to the circus. It becomes a um, it becomes something. It becomes something that I understand now. I know that there's no me here. I know that this is um, whatever words that are used, or when there is a preference to hear unconditional love over and over again, or when there's a preference for unconditional freedom, although it can't be understood, there seems to be a preference to really grasp it. Oh, yeah, that's unconditional love. And the worst thing that a seeker that could really happen is when there is a glimpse, because the glimpse becomes a carrot dangling. The glimpse becomes the experience. The oh, I had a glimpse with this, with Emerson or with any other speakers. There's no speakers. So when there's this glimpse, it becomes an addiction. What is behind that glimpse? Well, there's nothing. There's never really been a glimpse because the glimpse is the circus. The circus that keeps on going around and around. So what if there is an appearance of a contraction? So what if there's an appearance of a heaviness? So what if there's an app called the me that comes in and says, this is not it? Because to be able to see through the circus, to be able to see through the circus, it doesn't need a clown. To be able to um and it's just everything is appearing as it is. The moment that it becomes a story, the moment that becomes a merry-go-round, oh, I want to be able to, because I want to be able to see that emptiness again. Then it becomes a circus again. That moment that it expresses that it wants to feel that there's no me, it becomes a circus again. It goes into that circular knowing, unknowing, meing, being, understanding, not understanding, knowing, unknowing. Well, everything is appearing as it is. Even if there's a seemingly difficult time, there's a preference. There's a preference. It sees through the circus. When there's a glimpse, it sees, oh, this is just a game. This is just a play. But the preference is the fun clowns. When it gets bit by the tiger, it complains. It's a circus, so everything is allowed in a circus. Everything, everything is. And then once it's seen that the circus is just a play, that the only clown is actually the me. The me that thinks that it has a preference, the me that it thinks it has a free will or choice or understanding of what's happening. This is not about understanding. This is not about getting. This is about a loss. So when the loss of the believing that this is happening to me, when the loss is saying that that glimpse is actually the seeing that there's never been anything here, not to be maintained, that seeing is when the me is seen through. It's seen through the illusion that there's never been a me. But seemingly, when there's a contractedness or where there is an apparent coming back, there's nothing that comes back. It's kind of like I always say this. I don't know if you guys know that the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus. When the story becomes made real again, it's kind of like a kid that realizes that there's no Santa Claus when he's 20 years old. When he turns 30, believes in Santa Claus again because there's a preference of that story. So it's almost like madness. It goes into that circular loop of knowing and unknowing again. So what's being expressed here is that there's no circus. Because the one that creates the circus is the circus, is the illusion, is the me, is the story, is the show. And once it's seen that everything that appearing is pure emptiness, it's infinity. It's this infinity appears in everything, even in that contraction. In the infinite expression of infinity, it infinitely expresses as whatever it is. It could be this heaviness, it could be this, or it could be this elation, jumping up and down and kissing everyone, but there's no one there. It could be this like, wow. So everything in the infinite expression of infinity, it infinitely expresses as everything, as nothing. Everything, everything that can arise. Everything, it could be a headache, it could be a toothache, it could be the sweetness of a fruit that you ate, it could be the smelling of that fresh air or smelling of stench and foul is all included. Everything is not ever included, including the idea that this is not it. It's always this. There's nothing outside of this. There's nothing outside of preference. There's nothing outside of non-preference because everything is a story, but it's also appearing as infinity. Stories is infinity. Emptiness is everything. So everything is not, nothing is ever not included. So when there's a circus apparently happening again, it's just a circus. It's infinity appearing as a circus. The clowns that appears, the knowing, the unknowing, the heartaches, the liberation is all allness. Oh, that's a new word, allness. Allness is everything. So all and everything ever that has ever been seen is just appearing here and not here. And there's nothing outside of here and here. The here-ness is the totalness. So this is totality appearing as fractured, as segmented. There's nothing outside of this. There's no before or after. So look around. This is it. This is it. This is everythingness. This is allness. This is it. And not even this is it, is it. Not even it is it. So allness, everythingness, nothingness is all appearing here, in the here-ness. Since everything is apparently moving, but it's actually still, everything that seemingly seems to be comprehended or not comprehended is all included. So when it's seen it's just a circus, it becomes funny. It becomes hilarious. It becomes something of a comedy show. Rather than the dramatic thinking that, oh, here we go again. Here's the meaning and being. Oh, what am I doing in this meeting? Oh, wow. Whatever seems to happen happens. It's all included. There goes my anxiety. There goes my, oh, I'm really great today. So everything that is happening, there's nothing outside of this. But the circus, what do you call that again? The ringleader of the circus wants to whip everything into shape. Wants to whip into the lions and the thing. It's quite abusive, you know what I'm saying? If you look at it, trains all the elephants and the monkeys and the tigers all in place. Oh, there's anxiety. Psh. No, no. It takes everything seriously, really, but it's really nothing but a show. So everything that appears in this circus is hilarious when the ringleader is seen as empty, when everything is seen as empty. Everything is empty, but there seems to be a circular. If you see the pattern that is being expressed here, there's a circular notion that there's something going on. And the only one that thinks that there's something going on is the apparent ringleader of the circus. And that ringleader is the me. It's the one that tries to control everything in the circus. But what it doesn't see is that everything that it's controlling is completely empty. It's all emptiness. The depression, the anger, the laughter is all empty. The lions, the tigers, the elephants, they're all empty. So I'm going to say this, and it's going to be freaky. There's no laughter, there's no anxiety, there's no elation. It's all empty too. There's no liberation, there's no bondage. It's all empty too. There's no anxiety, there's no sadness, there's no crying, there's no laughing, there's nothing at all. It's all empty. So when there's this big reveal from the big tent opens up and says, oh, it's all empty. It's all empty. It's always been empty. It's always been empty. Since it's empty, everything is allowed. That appearance of that tiger of a headache, that appearance of that heaviness of an elephant, that monkeying around of apparent being, are all just a circular thing. It's a circus. All of the seekers and all of the speakers are all empty. So there's no more empty here than empty there when it's all empty. There's no speaker that's emptier or a seeker that's emptier. It's all empty. But when the circus comes into town, Then there is, oh, that one is a tiger, that one is this, that one. It labels everything, it whips everything into shape. But when it's seen, I really like Cirque du Soleil. I don't know if you guys have seen Cirque du Soleil. I really, really love Cirque du Soleil because it's a circus within a circus. It's making fun of the circus, but it's serious as well. But there is in between it. There's this comedic thing that, oh, this is a circus. It's being expressed as a circus. And when I was a kid, I used to go to this circus, and my mouth would be I would be gagging at it. I'm like, oh wow, elephants and everything. So that's what seems to be happening. Is there's this complete belief that the circus is really in town. Although it leaves, the circus comes once in a while. It digs up a tent and everything, and there's this kind of like madness and entertainment and everything. The me believes that the circus is permanent, that the show is always here, that it's the circus, that the ringleader is really real, that the one that controls, the one that it's this idea that everything is happening in a big tent. But once the circus packs up and goes to another town, this is just a story, it's all empty. It never really happened. and, and then when you're a kid, you always say, I want to join the circus. I want to join the circus, but you're in it actually. It's that childish wish for drama and flair and everything. Here it is. But it's all empty at the same time. You've never been to a circus because there's no circus. There's this imaginary circus that comes to town and leaves and comes to town. Um, and all that there is this. Let's start with some questions. I think that was a pretty long introduction. I think that was pretty cool. Thank you so much for coming and not coming. No one's here. No one chose to be here. This not series, but 4 sessions is inspired by a, uh, a live meeting that I did. Although it's not going to be the same because nothing's ever the same. Um, it's someone called it's like the starvation of the me. Let me start with that. There is no me. There is no me. There's not even no thing. There's nothing. There are no stories. There are no dreams. Nothing is happening. Everything that's being said here is coming from that mythology, the me dictionary. There is no emptiness. There's no oneness. There is no wholeness. These are all me stories. I'm trying to describe something that the me can't comprehend because it's not there to comprehend anything. So there's no me, there's no me, there's not no nothing, there's no emptiness. So all of these words are just trying to speak in a cult language of the me cult. The me that believes it is real, the me that believes all of its beliefs, the me that's appearing as whatever. So it's going to be difficult sometimes to communicate this because the languaging and the words is quite limited in trying to explain something that is an illusion, but it's not really an illusion. That is a dream, but it's not really a dream. That is here, but it's really not here. That is real, but it's not really unreal. And it's not really opposites. Even if I'm saying opposites, it's because that's the dualistic nature of the language and trying to express this or that, or not this or not that. Since there is no me, there's this confusion. sometimes clarity, but it goes back and forth. There's a contraction, there's also an openness. Again, all of these words are dreamlish in the me vocabulary. Everything that and anything that comes up is a me story. So what's usually apparently happens in this communication is it speaks in this language, or it goes into story sometimes, because everything is a story. Nothing is not a story. It's a story. Even that when it says it's not a story, that's a story that it's not a story.
Very
And there, and it just goes in circle and circle and circle. The idea that the me will drop away is just another story. It's making the story to support another story. It's like it's a circle that keeps on going and going and going and going. It's a story telling a story. So this story is trying to expose that this is a story, by a story, for stories. This is to expose that there's really no nothing, no emptiness. They're just words. Words trying to describe something that cannot be described. So this description is trying to describe something that cannot describe by describing it apparently. But it cannot fully describe it because it cannot be described. It cannot be known because it's unknowable. But even thinking that it's unknowable is the knower thinking that it knows the unknowable. It's just an idea, thought in ideas, expressed in ideas, to dispel the idea that it's an idea and not an idea. It just keeps on going and going and going. It's a dream, not, that is not really a dream. Speaking in dreamlish, trying to expose that this is a dream and not a dream. Because the one that's perceiving it is the dream. So the dream can't get out of the dream. Ridiculous. But also epic. It's epic. Um, since there's never been a me, but there's this persistence that there is a me, even when the me goes underground and it thinks it's a no me. Oh, there's no me now, or the me is falling away now. That's just another story. There seems to be less of me now. There's half of a me now. There was a full me before, but now it's not as much. there, there, or the me fell away. Hooray! But who fell away? I love going to these meetings because I feel the me is loosening its grip. That's just another story. The moment that you think there's something happening to the me, it's just reinforcing the me. It's a myth, it's a mythology. It's like a cult. So the cult of me, joins another cult of no me, thinking that it can talk to other no me's. Oh yeah, you know what? There's no me here. Everything is a story. And then when there's apparently a glimpse that there's no one here, that there's no me, the me comes rushing back and saying that, oh wow, there's no me here. And and get confused when the me comes back. And they're like, well, the me came rushing back. None of that is real. Nothing is real. It also feels real because it cannot be described as this and that because it's not this and that. It cannot be described as everything or nothing because it's not nothing or everything. It cannot be described as me or no me because there's no such thing as a me. All of these words are just pointing to something that's completely wordless. Even that, when someone hears wordless, they try to understand. The me tries to understand. Ooh, it's wordless. Ooh, wow. So the me learns how to be a no me. The me tries to understand what it is to be like a no me and goes to these meetings trying to get rid of the me. This is the day that I will get rid of the me. There's a meeting with Emerson, and but there's no one here to get rid of the me. Because if there's no me here, there's no me everywhere. So I can't possibly do anything because there's no one here. And that no one can possibly drop away because there's no one there. And then the idea that this no one, oh, there's no one here. Fun. Until the me comes back, apparently. Until the me makes an appearance and says, well, I have to cook something. So it's like I have to cook something, I have to eat something, I have to do something. It becomes this idea that keeps on coming back. But that's unconditional freedom. It's wholeness. See, I'm using words here again, right? It's wholeness. It's completely free. And before you try to latch onto that word, it has already turned into an idea. It has already turned into a mythology. Okay, let's get to some questions. Hello, welcome everyone.
Hello.
So epic to see all of you, apparently. All right. What's being suggested here is that this is an unhappening. That's also a happening. Apparently, happening to no one. So this unhappening and happening is simultaneously happening, but it's not really happening. What's being suggested is that there's nothing happening. What seems to be perceived as the happening is just an appearance of this or that, an appearance of duality, appearance of you and me, an appearance of an apparent speaker speaking to an apparent whatever. But there is nothing actually happening. It's just an idea, it's just a perception. When it's seen that this is all perfection, that this is all complete, this is all fullness, and this is all already home, then that appearance and disappearance does not really matter because it's not really happening to anyone. There's no one for it to happen to, and there's nothing to find. There's nothing that has been missing. There's nothing that has been hidden. Nothing is lacking. It's completely free. So this is already free. And since there's nothing to figure out, there's nothing that needs to be known, then what are we doing here? What seems to be happening is there seems to be an idea that I am not free, that I need to get liberated, that I need to know something, that there's some knowing there that I don't know. There's a state there that I'm not in. What's being expressed here is this is actually a knowing. This is the unknowing of everything that seems to be known, including dreams, illusions. You can't know a dream, you can't know an illusion, because nothing happens in a dream or an illusion. What seems to be looked for is already appearing as this. Everything is already this. Nothing is hiding. Nothing and everything is simultaneously appearing as this. It's a big mystery and no one knows. There's no knower here to know anything. Actually, there's never been any knower. Any knowing, any wisdom seems to be appearing as something that it's not. It's just an appearance. And in this appearance, what seems to be happening is nothing. So I'm going to go back to what I was saying. Nothing is happening. Unhappening, happening, apparently happening at the same time, that seems to be happening to me, is really not happening. Like in a nighttime dream, there's no difference between a nighttime dream and this. There's no separation. What seems to happen in a nighttime dream is unreal. In the nighttime dream, there's no past, there's no future, there's no separation, and there's no me. And this is just a story. The moment that someone wakes up from a nighttime dream, everything that seemed to happen in that dream is unreal, didn't really happen. So when it's being suggested that nothing happens, it's like a nighttime dream. And this is just a story. This can never arrive. This can never be known because there's no knower. There's no one. So this is nothing communicating to nothing. This is emptiness staring at emptiness. Seemingly, there seems to be an appearance, but it's just an appearance. And what appears to be this is just what is. All that there is this, and there's nothing outside of this. I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. If you have any questions, please raise your hand.